From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew.
Hello and welcome to episode 202 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm here today with my co-hosts Warren Carr, Karine Kiwan, Sally Kunders and John Dyer. And we are coming to you on a Saturday the 19th of October 2024. It's one of those big episodes of the year, folks, because after our usual announcement section, in Android Basics, we will look at Android 15, which dropped earlier in the week for eligible Pixel devices. Then we have an app of the week where Warren demonstrates Simplenote. And concluding with our tip of the week, Warren will demonstrate one of those new Android 15 features, and that is how to archive rather than uninstall an app on your phone. Well, how are you all? John Boy, what's going on in Virginia?
It's going good. It finally feels like fall around here. It cooled down. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's it's cool for now. And yeah, I had a nice week. It was kind of a laid back week. I finally got around to writing a comparison article for comparing the Galaxy Buds to the Pixel Buds, which will be live on accessibleandroid.com soon.
And there'll be a YouTube feature or podcast insert for blind Android users, will there, on that?
No.
Oh. What do you think about that, Warren? Seems a bit of rebellion in the camp.
Well, I think we're just on the same page. It really doesn't matter. But John, send me some of that great sunshine, would you? I'd like to barbecue outside.
No, you keep the sunshine. I like the cold.
Yeah, but you've got great weather out there, so give me some of that.
Wish we could trade.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're getting good today, too, because ours is... a few days have been kind of very chilly, but today, believe it or not, we're going to hit like 70 degrees. I hope we do get there. So nice weather ahead.
Nice. That sounds very good. I suppose instead of just Warren, as you are a co-founder, and we are in the 202 DC area code episode number, I should call you President Warren this week.
Thank you very much. And I'll be barbecuing with you in mind.
Yeah, excellent. But don't overdo that steak. Do it nice and blue.
Oh, gosh. I like mine well done. Yeah.
Karine, how are you?
I'm doing well. Things were better last week, I can say, in this area. And also we are starting to get cold weather, which is also good because I'm like John, I like cold weather. So yeah, this is a good thing. And I hope that this cold weather will stay.
Good. And hope things continue to improve and get better as well in that area. Sally, how are you?
I'm doing good, and really winter is coming, guys. It's 55 here, like for those, it's say 13 degrees here, and it's raining since morning. And what I like about this city is when it starts raining, it won't ever stop for some hours. So it pretty reminds you of London, right?
Yeah, particularly cities as well up north, like Manchester, where that is definitely a thing. London as well does do that. But
Speaking of Manchester, the beautiful game is back.
Oh, no, they didn't beat Brentford, did they?
Really? I don't know.
They were losing 1-0 at half-time, United. But yes, I'm glad Premier League is back.
1-1, and I don't know what the final score.
Oh, it's annoying when United equalised. I'll have to check that in a minute. Huddersfield were winning 2-0 last time I checked, so hopefully they won. But yes, the beautiful game is indeed back. England made a bizarre managerial appointment midweek. I can sort of see why, but I wouldn't have done it. Thomas Tuchel, New England manager.
And what do you think about it?
I can see why they did it. I wouldn't have done. But he is a better coach than Southgate, so he's better than Southgate.
Or
But
I can
I don't.
confirm that United is winning 2-1.
That's annoying. But yeah, I don't know. I think for your national team's manager, you should have to qualify by nationality, a bit like a player. I think it's a strange thing, but never mind. He's a good coach, so we'll see what happens. Whereas Southgate wasn't.
And now, the announcement segment. This is a segment dedicated to things we want you to be in the know. And now for this week's episode, here's your announcements.
Well, let's turn to our announcement section. One announcement to take note of, you've still got some time to plan for this, so please try and be free, is our 4-year anniversary on Saturday, the 21st of December at noon Pacific. Noon Pacific, that's wrong, isn't it? Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. British Summer Time, 6 p.m. I guess Central European Time, and any other time zone you'd care to check on. So yeah, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time, and 9 a.m. Pacific. Please do try and come for our 4-year anniversary. We had loads of good attendance at the 200th. Let's try and top that. Anyone got any other? Oh, sorry.
I think you are thinking about, or you are forgetting about Pacific, because you know what, Pacific is just a very small area, when compared to the Eastern time zone, and that's why I think that the Eastern time zone is always prioritized, and we're just a little corner here. But yeah, frankly, guys, we're looking forward to seeing you guys. It's going to be another great one. Like we had the 200th anniversary. So plan on that. The 21st, close to Christmas. And, some of you probably on Christmas vacation, as it would be. And we could just party all night, depending on where you're at, or all day, depending where you're at.
And particularly in North America, it's a good excuse not to have to go shopping. So just tell your nearest and dearest that you can't, because you have to come and join us.
And also not to have to attend your local winter solstice celebration.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's when the lights show come to my little town. A lot of like fire trucks, decked in Christmas lights, and kids love it. Kids love it. I mean, you get like literally almost like 100 trucks going by, and oh my gosh, beautiful sight to see. So yeah, and usually it's in the evening, so you could still come and then have a party with your whatever winter solstice later on. That's fine.
Good. Anyone got any other announcements?
Oh yeah, YouTube has included a Simplenote timer, which is the most stupid implementation ever.
It's done what?
You don't want to be
the most
sleeping while
stupid.
YouTube is playing, Karen girl.
Yeah, wait. Have you tested it?
A sleep timer.
Yeah, sleep timer. And you know what
Yeah.
happens? Like if you set it for 10 minutes, for example, after each minute it will tell you 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes. Who told them that this is the right implementation? I mean, why Talkback or G-Show should announce this? This shouldn't happen. So
That's not going to help you get to sleep, is
Well,
it?
I don't think it's because
Exactly.
but that's what it shows on the screen. So your screen reader is just simply telling you
No.
what is showing up.
Wait. Google defendant. Wait. Let me tell you something. If
Yeah.
I'm not focusing this particular item, it shouldn't gain or it shouldn't announce. If I'm focusing that, okay, I want to know it so I can focus it on the screen. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. It's nonsense.
Well, actually, I think you're wrong, because when that happens, that pops up to show where it's like a toast message. So you can't say Google did it wrong. It's the same thing, like, if you're using your Google TV, for example, and when it says you can now skip this ad, you don't have to down arrow to skip that. You just hit your enter key to skip it. So there's nothing, it's just like a toast message.
It's
Or like when
just
you're
an
using Google
announcement.
TV and it says the microphone is now open when you're trying to talk
Wow.
to Google Assistant. That's a better example of a toast notification you don't want to hear.
But Warren will have an excuse about that.
Yeah,
No,
it's crazy.
no. Frankly, there's nothing wrong with this because it's just your screen reader simply saying what is on the screen. The
It
toast message,
shouldn't.
like
It
John
shouldn't.
says,
There are
about the opening of the microphone, though, that I don't like because I manually held down that key to turn on the mic. So I know it's like what Gemini is doing, enabled or whatever, that we're kind of not happy about. That I understand, but frankly, I don't see anything wrong with saying, hey, you now have 1 minute or whatever, or you can now
It's a
skip
sleep
this ad.
timer. You're supposed to be going just drifting off to sleep. If it's going
Exactly.
1 minute, and I'm going to extend it, aren't I?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's not helping
but
me get
but
to
what
sleep.
I'm
It's
saying,
stupid
though, I don't see,
implementation.
I'm not going to fault the screen reader for reading it because it's a
Karine
toast
didn't. She
message.
faulted Google.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
faulting Google
Exactly.
for making that a
Yeah.
toast notification, knowing that, well, they don't know, but
Yeah.
it is read by the screen reader. The YouTube team has no clue, probably. That's the problem.
Yeah, and then you have the times up. Well, I think that the better thing is just to have like a short message and then close YouTube or something like that. But it shows you that's
Well,
times
if
up thing.
time is up,
And
if you want,
then
if you change your mind, you
wait.
haven't fallen asleep, you can say, no,
Let me
don't do it.
tell you something. Wait. The times
Karen.
up thing is not accessible. It's not readable. It's read only by the image detection. So, do you have an excuse for that?
Well, I thought you didn't want the screen reader to read it. You're
I
a
mean-
little bit complacent here.
Wait. This is not an announcement. This is a window that opens and it shows you time's up. Then you can extend or tap close, I think. So this one should be read by TalkBack. This is a different thing.
Oh, so we're choosing what TalkBack should read and what TalkBack shouldn't read. Is that what I'm
Guys,
hearing?
Guys, you are the judge.
No, I'm
here.
serious. No, seriously, because you're a little bit complacent here. Let's be straight. Whether we have TalkBack read things
She's
or we
saying
don't have
TalkBack
TalkBack
should
read
read
things.
something that you touch with your finger. TalkBack should not read
Definitely.
something that you're not interacting with.
Anyway, this
It's
thing
a
is
very
delayed, but
silly
let's
sleep
move on. Announcements is kind of turning into something else.
It's a very silly sleep implementation, anyway.
Think about all the people that skipped these announcements and missed this
I
great
know.
conversation.
Yeah.
Warren's increasingly implausible defenses of Google.
I have to because I seem to be the most sensible one on here when it comes to Google.
I'm going to make it as the tip of the week next week. And
Yeah.
let's see if you are going to put it or not.
There you go.
Okay,
And I'll poo it all the way down.
we'll see.
And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics.
And now we turn to our Android Basics section. And as I said at the start, this is one of the big ones of the year because Android 15 has finally dropped for eligible Pixel devices. Dropped earlier this week. Was it Tuesday? Was it Wednesday?
That was Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. I thought so. So I'm guessing two of us have it. John, I'm guessing you've still got your Pixel 9 something, and Warren, you have it. So, Warren, what's your take?
Well, first though, we're giving Google grief here, right? So I'm the biggest Google fanboy in the whole group, but I'm kind of chastising Google today when it comes to this one, being objective here. Frankly, I don't know why of course, we've talked about this, why it didn't come through until now and all of that. And to be honest, this is one of those areas that I'm like, well, Google, if you were going to hold this thing off till October before you bring it on, why not just hold off the devices like we used to have instead of, rolling out those devices back in August and, made us to wait and wait? Because for me, usually the joy of having a new Pixel device is that new OS iteration. And for me to have a new Google device with yesterday's Wine OS, it just kind of poo-pooed the whole thing for me. So that's the beef that I had with Google. But at least, we were patient and waited, and I kept mashing that check for system update, and finally it got there, and I was so glad it finally got there. So I'm liking it. Of course, these things have been kind of iterative, to say the least. Not much difference, just a few more improvements here and there. Of course, we've talked about this, most especially during the beta and all of that, then the QPR program that preceded the final release of Android 15. Certain things, though, that are not in here that I'm not happy with, unless, of course, you're in the QPR program, is that setting the charge limit to say, hey, I only wanted to charge 80% or whatever, that you cannot find in the final release of Android 15 unless you are in the QPR program. So that's my little beef about that. But besides that, another good thing is that it dropped alongside with the Google feature drop, or basically October security patch that brought a lot of improvements. And this, whether you have Android Pixel 9 or not, so long as you have Pixel 6 or higher, you should have had that, and lots of improvements in there. And some of the improvements that are brought in, let me just highlight some of those. So you got battery charging, where it says fixed issue occasionally causing device to reboot. So I haven't had that, but apparently some people have had instances where device would reboot, and that was something that was tied to the battery management for some reason. And then general improvements for charging and battery usage. Then we have the biometrics fixed for issue in face and lock stability in certain conditions. Then we also have Bluetooth, where it's fixed for occasionally preventing connection with certain Bluetooth devices or accessories. So if you've been having some problems, maybe Bluetooth dropping off, I hope this fixes that problem, because this is what this is supposed to address. And then we talk about the camera here and general improvement for camera stability under certain conditions. I don't know what those conditions may be, but maybe if you're having some flakiness with your camera, this should have fixed it. The next one, though, is display and graphics, and fixed for issue with gray shade in inner display screen under certain conditions. General improvements for stability or performance with certain system apps. General improvements to display stability. And then the next one has to do with the framework, and fixed for issue occasionally preventing apps to access media files. So maybe you have an app that you're trying to access something to share and you can't access that. I hope that makes it a whole lot better than some of the experience. The next one, though, is fixed for system stability and performance in, again, of course, certain conditions. And then telephony fixed for adaptive connectivity services, stability and performance in certain conditions. So it's something like, maybe if you've been having some problems. I know we had one guy here, he was having problems. Does anyone remember who that guy was? I think, was it Kenny? Yeah, I think Kenny, the guy from Alabama, was having some problems with his connectivity. I hope this fixes that for you, Kenny. General improvements for network connectivity and stability and performance in certain conditions. Then user interface, I like this, fixed issue causing incorrect Android icons displayed in certain conditions. Fix for issue with assistant launch animation or the lock screen. Fix issue with home button stop responding in certain conditions. So if you're having something that sometimes maybe the button says it's not responding or whatever, maybe the home key says it's not responding, that's fixed. Fix for issue with incoming call notifications in certain conditions. You guys remember we talked about this where if you sometimes maybe a call comes in, I hope this is one of those fixes. And instead of it taking the whole screen, sometimes it kind of like recedes to the notification area. I hope this is one of those things that fixes that problem, because I know some people really don't like that. And you got to go find the answer, or you have to use this two-finger double tap to answer. I hope this fixes that. Fix for issue with layouts for animations during transition in certain conditions. Fix for performance and stability improvements in certain UI transitions and animations. Those are some of the highlights, but as far as I'm concerned, though, I think these are some things that probably were part of the Android patch, security patch for October, because both came hand in hand. But another thing I want to highlight here is that if you are familiar with the volume area, so if you hit your up or down volume key, and then if you tap on that sound settings, you realize now that all the bars now, if you can see a little bit, they're now bigger and look better. And then instead of like maybe we have under calls and you have to move to the next line to see the call slider, they are now together. So if it says calls, for example, it will tell you what the call slider is at, and you can just adjust it there. You don't need to move to the next line. So I really like that. And then, of course, the improvement in the private segment. So guys, John, anything that you saw in here that you like, most especially? I mean, like I said, it's just iterative, but some things are just improvements over what we've had in the past.
Sorry, I think I was dozing off there. I didn't have YouTube sleep timer to keep me awake. Yeah, so most of this stuff, like you mentioned, it feels kind of like a deja vu to me. Like this is stuff we've had and been using for a while. But yeah, I do like private space. Is that what it's called? Private space? Yeah, that's nice. It's a good way. I mean, if you want to have like your stuff hidden, you can. But also, what it's good for is having a second account. So like, if you want to log into like a different Telegram account on the same phone, you could do it using that. So I guess that's the biggest feature for me. I mean, obviously, other flavors of Android have had similar features, but it's nice to see it baked in to the OS at this point.
Another thing that I saw in there, which I thought is really interesting, though, even though I was hoping, and being hopeful is not bad, is the fact that I noticed that, for example, say if you have a Bluetooth device connected, and then you go into the Bluetooth preferences, or you bring up you can see it has better support. It lets you know which codec that thing is using, and also you can choose to stop that thing from playing on the Bluetooth right there, and you could just tap speaker, and you'll just leave your Bluetooth headset or Bluetooth speaker and just plays right on your phone. And if you want it to be played back on your headset or your Bluetooth speaker, you just tap on that and choose where you want it to play, whether you want it to play on that speaker or play on the car audio or whatever. I was hopeful, though, that we would have something like what Samsung has, that sound separation, so I could just have my talkback on my phone and just have that audio played on the other device. And that was being hopeful on my part. I think I got disappointed, but I think we're getting closer.
I certainly learned something from what you said during your introduction to that, Warren. You were talking about when the new device came with the operating system, and you said the joy of a new Pixel device. I didn't know there were joys in new Pixel devices. So every day's a school day, I guess. Good to apparently hear that there are.
There's a lot of joy going on here, Ed. Now, frankly, because for me, we get a new device, right? I mean, Google's the one that conditioned us to this, experience, or to this situation where whenever we get a new Pixel device, it means we have the new OS coming on it. And for it to come out without the new OS, it kind of just dampened that spirit of joy, in my humble opinion,
I'm going to push back on this a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So the new Pixels have never come out with a version different than what is already available on the other Pixels. So in the past, like Android would be released in September, all the old Pixels would get the new version of Android. And then 2 months later, or the next month in October, when the new Pixels came out, they didn't have anything new on them. They had the same current version of Android on them. And nothing's changed. It's just the current version of Android is 10 months old instead of 1 month old.
What happened with the 8s?
Hang on, Ed, before you say that. John, I'm kind of confused. When, say we have the Google developer or, Android developer come out in February or March, whenever it comes out, every phone that qualifies, could, jump on in it, participating. Now, when the final one comes out, though, is that the Pixel that comes out that year will come out with that, new OS. That's what I'm talking about. Even if the Pixel, or rather the Android version comes out in August, like what we had, I think was that Android 13. Yeah, Android 13 came out in August, the final stable release, and I think there was another one, maybe 11 or 12. One of those. Those are the only two that I remember coming out early, before the Pixel device comes on. But what I'm saying is that I want to see when we get a new Pixel device, so whether the final release of the Android operating system comes out in August or September, I want to see the device coming out with it. So I don't want to see a device come out and not having the new OS. That's what I'm talking about. And that's how I got disappointed.
But it's never come out with a new version of Android. It's always come out with the current version of Android.
What do you mean by current version of Android?
Whenever you buy a Pixel 8, like let's say you get a Pixel 7 or a Pixel 8, it comes with the same version of Android that the Pixel 6 or 7 has already been updated to. Like, it doesn't come out, you don't get an exclusive version of Android because you've bought the new phone.
No, John, I think you're still missing the point. What I'm saying is, for example, let's go back to Android 13, which came out earlier in August before the Pixel 7 was released. Android 13 came out in August of 2022. And when we got Pixel 7 in the fall of that year, it has that Android 13 that was made public in August. So you have a new version. It did not come out running Android 12, which, this one, for example, Pixel 9 came out.
So you're just saying you want it to come with the version of Android that is supposed to be released that year.
Exactly. That's
so
what
you
I
would have wanted them to not
this,
release the Pixels until now.
Yes, exactly. So
okay, well then I disagree with that. Give me my freaking Pixel in August. I loved that.
No, that's fine. If I don't mind it coming out in August, but then be sure that you have the final release ready so that when I turn that thing on, I have that new OS on it, rather than having yesterday's wine on my new shiny device. That was my disappointment, but I'm thinking though that next year, since Google has adapted this, that may be what they will do. We'll see what happens with Android 16.
They got a problem with the 8 and the 9 both being on the same version, haven't they? Are they going to find a way to give the 9 an extra Android version? A bit weird otherwise.
Oh no, Ed, because it's not like the whole idea is that you get 7 OS updates, right? So
Yeah, but
I
8 and
don't
9 came with the
7
same
years.
version.
7 years of updates. You don't get 7
7
OS.
years of updates. So it really doesn't matter
Either
though.
way, either way, it's still the same version, because otherwise that's 7 and 2 months, isn't it?
Well, it
Doesn't
really
change
doesn't
anything.
doesn't.
They both came with Android 14, and Android 15 will be outside its release date is 2 months on, and so unless they
Yeah.
find a way to push another version to the 9, then they've got a problem, haven't they?
Well, but it didn't come. It didn't come out the
Anybody
following
who's
year.
still using this phone in 7 years, yes, has a problem.
Yeah, like what they're
It
going to
doesn't
do.
matter. It doesn't have anything to do with software. Anybody who's currently using a Pixel 2 right now probably has more problems than will they get the next version of Android.
Warren still is using a Pixel 2. Warren likes his keyboard on his
Well,
Pixel
I
2.
do have a Pixel 2 XL, and I love it. You know what? I think that the keyboard, the Gboard on Pixel 2 is superior to any other one out there for some reason. It's a great phone. I like it. If you don't have it, you may want to pick one up on eBay just to see what I'm talking about.
Or not. So, are there any changes in Android 15 to installing apps outside the Play Store, either Play Store apps installed externally or ones that were never on the Play Store installed externally? Has that become more difficult?
I think it's still the same thing. You just have to give those permissions.
Yeah, the process is the same. All that's changed is what permissions are required to have to make the user enable restricted settings. It used to just be if it required accessibility permissions, but now if you sideload an app outside the Play Store that requires permissions such as like overlaying on the screen, like displaying over other apps, and some other high-level permissions like that, then you will still you could still do it. But there's just the extra step of after you install the APK, then go into the app info for that app, hit restricted settings, or hit the more options in the top right, go to restricted settings, and then allow them. And then, you'll have access to all those permissions and stuff.
I want to ask you a question. It's actually John, not Warren, because Warren doesn't anyway sideload apps. So are you still having the Pixel first?
I have it, yeah.
Okay, so I think that you already updated to Android 15. Well, did you try to? Are you using G-Show on the Pixel? I mean, do you have it? If yes, so after updating G-Show, it's the example, but actually apps that require permission, accessibility permission. If they are not from the Play Store, which is something that we all know about, we used to be able to use third-party installers to update the apps. Otherwise, this would cause the app to ask for the accessibility permission every time you do an update. So I heard that this was like they claim that it was a fix. Actually, it is sort of a fix because it was a security issue, but the problem will be that we will not be able to use third-party installers to update the apps. So we should just each time we want to update G-Show, for example, we have to go and give it the accessibility permission, which means that we will not be able to use the screen reader until we give the permission. So have you tried to update G-Show, or have you used G-Show using Android 14? And do you have any experience about that?
No, I don't honestly. Haven't even installed it on my Pixel.
So if you ever do, just let us know, because as I said, as far as I know, this was fixed. So this will cause some complications if this is the case, really.
So,
right,
Kirin,
yeah,
was that fix coming from the Joshua or G-Show screen reader itself?
There was a hole where if you use a third-party installer, you could essentially bypass the need to enable restricted settings for accessibility. I think Google has patched what they saw as a fix. Is that right, Karine? Is that what you said?
Yeah, true, exactly.
Yeah. So it probably shouldn't have worked, but it was quite helpful. I was going to ask exactly the same question, to be honest. I was going to say, will third-party installers still be able to bypass these settings? Maybe the third-party installers will need to update themselves.
If there's nothing to just take advantage of, they won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, this is really interesting, because if someone wants to use that screen reader, they should be able to use it. So I hope that though I don't know, I don't use it, but something tells me I think it will still work.
Yeah, it will work.
It will work.
It's when you update it, though, you need to enable that permission every time. And obviously, until you do, you haven't got any speech.
And so, so if you don't have speech, you can enable that.
Yeah.
But if one has TalkBack, though, they could use TalkBack to go enable that, right?
Yeah, and that's easier for Samsung because you've got two hardware shortcuts, haven't you? But if you've got G-Show on a phone and you haven't set up like the accessibility button, then it's going to be annoying, isn't it?
And also, it's an additional step, actually. So actually, not only one step. So you have to go to the app info. And no, first you have to try to turn it on, and then to go to the app info, then to hit more options, and then allow restricted settings, and then use the biometrics. So it is like so many steps to do each time you have an update, especially with G-Show for people who use the beta versions. So each week we have at least one beta version usually. So we need to do this each week.
Yeah, that can be tedious. Well, I hope that there's a solution, or someone finds a way of getting around that. Or, like I always said, bring the damn thing to the Play Store and call it good. But, knuckleheaded guy doesn't get it.
Yeah, but they charge him 30% if he tried to sell it through the Play Store. And I think it's annoying if you want to put an accessibility app on the Play Store, one of the UK developers. I think they might have now finally done it, but they shied away from it because I think Google is very pushy to make you tell them every 5 minutes what you're doing and go and explain yourselves. And
this is my solution to that kind of thing. I wish, though, someone at Google could be hearing us. Give a special, preference to people that produce accessibility-related apps, for example. And I'm not being selfish here, guys, but I thought that, maybe someone, the little guy, trying to develop for blind people, maybe just charge them like 10% or 5%, because it's not like they're getting a whole lot of revenue from it. Frankly, if I were Google, that's what I will do. 5% if you're doing an exclusive accessibility app.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they decreased the percentage that they take if the person doesn't earn like a threshold. If this person doesn't reach this threshold, the percentage would be like less than 30%.
15.
I think.
Yeah,
15,
it's half.
Yeah.
It's half starting out. You have to make a lot of money before they start charging you the full 30. At least on subscriptions. It might be different for like in-app purchases.
One time, yeah. The other thing you could do as well, I think, obviously they are checking and pushing those apps that require the accessibility permissions because that they think they'll be mistrusted. So they should give them to fewer people, and they should simply ask us whether an app deserves accessibility permissions, and we will be the arbiters. How about that?
That's perfect. Yeah, definitely. Because, we need to encourage people, because if you're developing for a specific group of people, and of course we know not many of us have that money, and so these guys are being mindful of that and charge us less. So in order to give them that incentive, I think something of this nature has to be done. And I just wonder why no one has ever thought about doing something like this, because we should have that G-Show on the Play Store, and give the guy a break when it comes to that taking whatever that percentage from what he gets.
And not all apps even sell their packages through the Play Store, so he could still. I don't like the manual thing on his side, but presumably you could go to a website and pay via PayPal to activate or something. But it would just be quite helpful to have the app on the Play Store.
That's right,
Yeah.
because I mean, with Amazon now, I don't, if I'm trying to buy a Kindle book, I'm not buying through the Play Store anymore. So yeah, that's another workaround. I think he should bring it to the Play Store. Kieran, you are probably the closest to that guy.
He did briefly, didn't he? Was it 2022, 2021? It was on for like 4 months.
Maybe 2019, somewhere back
No,
there.
it was after that.
It was brought to the Play Store twice. If I remember correctly, first one, I don't remember when this was, but this was a long time ago. Then he re-implemented it in the Play Store for maybe a few months, but the version wasn't updated at all. So the version was just one version, and then it was removed. But the thing is not actually in the payment thing and in the percentage that Google takes. It's in the amount of permissions the app asks for. And don't tell me that why an app should need this permission and why the app should need that permission. All of the permissions are optional, but the app can ask for them, and they have their justification. So because Jisho is or has an extension system, which is a very strong one and capable one. So you should be given certain permissions to be able to launch certain extensions and sound schemes and stuff. So Google has issues with known developers. It had issues with Tasker, for example, for a while. And you know how much Tasker is famous and how much Tasker has a wide user base. And, so if Google has issues with Tasker, so how could we expect that there won't be issues with a developer who is in China, who has a screen reader that asks for a lot of permissions, and it connects as well to some Chinese servers to get certain services, certain features like the AI stuff and the text recognition and things. So I think even if he wants to, Google won't let this be in the Play Store. There will be. I'm almost sure that there will be issues, and it won't be accepted in the Play Store. So the thing is just much more complicated than the 30% or the 15% thing. It's just related to the app itself. And other thing is that the person is in China, and there are many Chinese users. So actually, Chinese users don't have any issues with that, with the Play Store thing. And another thing, which is the last thing that I want to talk about regarding this, the Prudence screen reader has issues as well with it. Like they just was saying that we have our app in the Play Store, and this was like a big selling point for the app. And then after some time, the app disappeared from the Play Store. So I don't know what's the case now. How is it re-implemented or not? But the app was out of the Play Store for a while. So if Prudence failed, then I think that Jisho will likely to fail. More likely to fail. So yeah, it's seriously complicated thing.
Yeah, and that's why the UK guy didn't want it on because of the permissions for accessibility related services and what Google want. Although I think they've changed. I think theirs might be now. But Prudence, as of a couple of weeks ago, wasn't on. I'm not sure if it is anymore.
So I kind of see where both are coming from, though, because you got actors out there that would, if they find out that an app has certain permissions that they could manipulate or use there or whatever to use it in accessing things on people's devices unknowingly, they'll take advantage of that. So I can see where Google is coming from. However, though, the prudence that you guys are talking about, I think they are still not on the Play Store, and they haven't explained as to what the problem is. I know I've raised that issue with them, but they had some problem with their account on Google or whatever the case may be. I don't want to, I don't know what's really going on. They're not being in the app and app. about what's going on. If you're having problems, let people know that, hey, maybe Google is flagging our app or whatever, but so far no one has come out to say exactly what the problem is. But frankly, I just hope that people that develop, for those of us with disabilities, will have some kind of a preferential treatment and maybe kind of give them a little bit of a break in certain aspects. Well, another thing though that we probably should have talked about is the fact that the anti-theft or the Find My device is more improved, and the thing I like about it is not only on say you have a Pixel 9 or Android 15, but it's also something that comes through the Play Store as well, so you could actually download it. I was looking it up on my Pixel 4, and in order to be able to get some of those features and take advantage of the new improvements and all of that, I had to download the app. It will prompt you to download it. So I like that feature. It's a whole lot better than what we had earlier. I'll have to play with it some more.
Yeah. How have they improved it? What have you noticed?
It has a lot of options in there compared to what it was earlier. Now, frankly, I didn't even try to say, I'm going to go leave my device somewhere and see if I can find it. So
I think what it does now is like they've added things, similar to how car crash detection works with like using the accelerometers and stuff to detect when you've been in an accident. It uses that same thing to know that basically know if your phone's been snatched. Like if it's sitting still with the screen on, and then all of a sudden the accelerometers go crazy with the screen still on, it will lock your screen, that sort of thing. I think from what I read, that's the type of features they've added with the new theft protection.
Yeah, and then if another thing is that if you try to remove the SIM, it's going to kind of prompt you for a PIN or something like that. So it's really interesting. Like I said, I haven't played with it, but I saw a lot of options in there that I didn't look into. Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week.
And now we turn to our App of the Week. Obviously, people have been having problems with Google Keep Notes for a while, and so Warren demonstrates an alternative, and this is Simplenote. Hi.
For episode 202, App of the Week, this is demonstrating Simplenote, Simplenode. For today's demonstration, I'm demonstrating this on my Pixel 9 Pro XL running Android 15 and TalkBack 15. In the way of the TTS engine, I'm using the resurrected Vocalizer TTS engine in the voice of Allison. I am on the web page, that is on the play page of Simplenote, and will now navigate to the About. I really like the app, and most especially for the fact that these days Google Keep Notes is not behaving the way that we want it to, and frankly I don't know why Simplenote only has a rating of 3.6. In any case, I'm going to navigate to that About and let you listen to the description of the app, and what I love about it the most is the ability to instantaneously sync across your devices regardless of the platform. Let's now hear the About of the app.
About this app. Heading: Google Play Store, Simplenote, details. Take notes, create to-do lists, capture ideas, and more. Simplenote is an easy way to take notes, create to-do lists, capture ideas, and more. Open it, jot down some thoughts, and you're done. As your collection grows, stay organized with tags and pins, and find what you need with instant search. Since Simplenote will sync across your devices for free, your notes are with you at all times. A simple, note-taking experience. Sync everything across all your devices. Collaborate and share. Stay organized with tags. Log in with your email or WordPress.com account. Sync with confidence. Automatically sync seamlessly across any computer, phone or tablet. Backup and sync everything as you take notes, so you never lose your content. Collaborate and share. Collaborate and work together to share ideas with a colleague, or write a grocery list with your roommate. Choose whether to publish your content to the web, and share a link with whoever you want. Publish directly to a WordPress site by connecting your WordPress.com account. Quickly and easily share with third-party apps. Organize and search. Stay organized with tags, and use them for quick searching and sorting. Instantly find what you're looking for with keyword highlighting. Use Markdown to add formatting. Create to-do lists. Choose the sorting order of your notes and tags. Pin the notes that you use the most. Edit tags directly by renaming and reordering. Protect your content with a passcode lock. 2- Privacy policy, https://automatic.com privacy. Terms of service, https://simplenote.com terms. 2- Visit simplenote.com to download Simplenote for your other devices.
That's the description of the app. Now let's listen to the history of the app, in other words, the app info.
App info. Version 2.34. Updated on September 23, 2024. Downloads 1 million plus downloads. Required OS Android 6.0 and up. Offered by Automatic Incorporated. Released on September 6, 2013.
And that's been both the description of the app as well as the app info, that is the history going back some 11 years ago. I'll now navigate back to the installation page. I already have installed it, and I'll now tap on the Open, and we'll go from there.
Play Store. About this app, heading. Open, button. Simplenote. The simplest way to keep notes.
Upon opening up the app, the first thing we heard was the simplest way to keep notes. At the bottom of the phone, we've got a couple horizontal lines. One is the sign up, and the one below that is the login in the event that you already have an account. I already have an account. However, I'm going to take you through the process of signing up. But if you want, you could simplify things by opening up the browser and signing up on the browser if you want to, or just use the one on the mobile, that is the app, to sign up. I'll now go down and tap on that sign up.
Sign up button.
And we'll tap
Simplenote. Email, edit box.
The first place we landed on is your email address. In other words, you type in here and it'll send you an email. So I'm going to type in my fake email address. I'm not going to be signing up with it again. I've already signed up with my regular email address, but I'm just going to show you the process of signing up using the app. So we'll tap here.
Showing English, US, QWERTY.
Let's just go ahead and type in something fake. I'm going to type in 2dogs at 2dogs.com. Right? That sounds good?
T W W O Oscar O D D O Oscar O G G S C S at T W W O Oscar O D D O Oscar O G G S period 2dogs period C C O Oscar O M M.
And so I basically just typed in 2dogs at 2dogs.com. And below that,
sign up button.
And below that,
by creating an account, you agree to our terms and conditions.
All right, I'm going to hit that sign up.
Sign up button. Signing up. In progress. Progress bar. In progress. Progress bar. Simplenote. We've sent an email to 2dogs at 2dogs.com. Please check your inbox and follow the instructions.
And that's it. All you have to do is check your email and then tap on it to verify it. And then it'll take you back to where you can log in either with the code that is emailed to you, or you could choose to use a password. That's totally up to you. And now that you know the process of signing up, I'm going to go back to the app and then log in and show you around before we bring this to a close.
Login button.
And I'm going to tab Login.
Simplenote. Email. Edit box.
And I'm going to tab, and hopefully it brings up my autofill.
Showing English. Rolling worker.
There we go.
Editing. Email. Edit box.
So the first place there we have my email that was autofilled, and then we have
Login with email.
Login with email. Below that,
We'll email you a code to log in, or you can log in manually.
so if you tap on Login with email, it's going to send you a code, and you could just input that code to log in.
Or
Or
login with WordPress.com button.
you could use your WordPress to log in, or you can still tap on
Enter password button.
Enter Password instead. I'll tap on that Enter Password.
Simplenote. Navigate up button. Enter the password for the account rolling
And below that,
password. Edit box.
I'll tap here to use my autofill.
Autofill options. Use your saved pass. Continue button.
And I tap on
Use your
Continue.
saved password for HTTPS.
Yes.
Keyboard hidden. Simplenote. Open drawer button.
We're now in the menu I. We've logged in, and the first thing we heard is Open Door found near the top left corner of the phone. And now I'll take you through the tour. From here, moving right, we got
All notes.
All Notes. Moving right,
Search notes or tags.
Search Notes or Tag. And that's all that we have in the way of buttons found near the top part of the phone, with that navigational drawer button on the top left and that search on the top right. Anything below that will be your notes and things like that, or the tags that you've created. And below that at the bottom, we have one big button at the bottom right, and that is
New note button.
New Note button. Before we create that new note though, I want to go back to the top and tap on that navigational drawer on the top left and look at what we have up there. I'll now move back up to the top.
Open drawer button.
There we go. Tap on that open drawer.
Checked. All notes.
Tapping on that, the first thing we're landed on is that by default is checked to show all notes. So whatever notes you have will be shown. If you don't want it though, you could choose something else that shows up on the home screen when you launch. That is on the menu eye of the app when you launch it. Moving down.
Trash.
If you want your trash to be the one that shows up, you tap on this to be the default. Moving down,
Settings.
we have settings. And below settings is an area where all the different tags, that is the categories, they call them tags, will show up. So you create your categories, and if you move your finger down, or if I move my finger down, it will say,
Once you add tags to your notes, your tags will appear here.
so all the categories or the tags that you created will be below here. Let's go ahead though and tap on that settings and see what we have in the settings.
Settings. Settings. Navigate up button.
We're now in the settings. Let's quickly move through the items found within the settings. Starting from the top, here's what we got.
Notes. Heading. 1 of 26. In list. 26 items.
We come across the note heading, and I'm just going to be moving through this unless something of importance. I'm not going to talk about anything, but just simply showing you the items we have within the settings. Here's what we got.
Condensed note list. Not checked. Off. Switch. 2 of 26. Sort order. Modified. Newest. 3 of 26. Tags. Heading. 4 of 26.
Come across tags. That's the categories that you could create.
Sort alphabetically. Not checked. Off. Switch. 5 of 20. Appearance. Heading. 6 of 26.
We come across the appearance, that is if you wanted light or dark color.
Theme. Light. 7 of 26. Editor. Heading. 8 of 26. Font size. Normal. 9 of 26. Detect links. Checked. On. Switch. 10 of 20. Passcode lock. Heading. 11 of 26.
We come across passcode lock. In other words, if you want to password protect the app, you can.
Turn passcode lock on. Screenshots are disabled while passcode lock is on. 12 of 26. Change passcode. Disabled. 13 of 26.
It's disabled because I haven't set any password to protect the app. Moving on.
Account. Heading. 14 of 26.
We come across accounts. Moving on.
Log out. Rolling worker. At. Import data. 16 of 26. Export data. 17 of 26. Delete account. 18 of 26. Privacy. Privacy. Heading. 19. Share analytics. Checked. On. Switch. 20 of 26.
And it's totally up to you. It is not required, but by default, that is checked.
Help us improve Simplenote by sharing usage data with our analytics tool. Learn more. 21 of 26.
Moving on.
More, heading. 22 of 26. About. 23 of 26. Get help. 24 of 26. Send logs. 25 of 26. Visit website. 26 of 26.
And that's the last item. I'll now go back though to the main UI and tap on that new note and see what we observe.
Simplenote. Open drawer. Button. Out of list.
And at the bottom right corner,
New note. Button.
I'll tap.
Simplenote. Edit box. In pager.
I'm going to tap here.
Showing English. US.
And I'm going to use some voice dictation here.
Cap. Use assistant voice typing.
Hello and welcome to the Blind Android Users Podcast, period, new paragraph. This is just to test to see how this thing will go, period, new paragraph. I will now conclude the testing of the Simplenote, period. Stop.
Voice typing stopped. Use assistant voice typing.
And I'll now put my finger down to see if I could hear what I just dictated.
Editing. Hello and welcome to the Blind Android Users Podcast. This is just a test to see how this thing will go. I will now conclude the testing of the Simplenote edit box.
And now I'm going to change my granularity to maybe either character or word, whatever, and see if I would be able to hear it when I move backwards or when I delete a character, and see if we can hear that. Remember, with Google Keep Notes, we could not hear when you try to delete things. So I'm going to switch back to character mode.
Words. Characters.
And if I swipe up,
Period. E. Echo. E. Echo. Period. End of
okay, now I'm going to hit delete.
delete. Period deleted. Delete. E deleted.
There it works.
E. Echo. E. Period. Note period.
There we go. It works without a doubt. And since I have done this, you don't need to tap on anything like save or anything of the sort. It's automatically synced to your devices across the different platforms that you may have. And now, if you want to add a tag, that is, you want to set this to a category, then all you need to do from here is swipe right.
Add tag. Edit box.
And there's an add tag. So in other words, you want to create a category for things of this nature. Since this is like a miscellaneous something, if I want to create something called MISC, I'll just do that. Tap.
Add tag.
And
Use assistant voice type.
miscellaneous.
Voice typing stopped. Use assistant voice
And
type.
now,
Editing. Miscellaneous. Edit box. Add tag.
and that's my tag. And at the bottom of the phone, you'll find miscellaneous edit.
Miscellaneous. Edit box. Add tag.
And so if you decide to change your mind, you want to give it a different name tag, then you could change that. Otherwise, you just navigate to top or whatever, but that's the category that the note that we just typed would belong to. And now, before I bring this to a close, I want to navigate to my computer where I have the browser opened to Simplenote.com and see if we can refresh the page to see if it syncs with what I just typed from my phone. I'll now hit F5.
Simplenet.
All right. And I'm just going to hit letter E to take me to the edit field.
Add tag. Edit. Blank. Editor content. Press Alt F1 for accessibility options. Editor. Hello and welcome to the Blind Android Users Podcast.
There we go.
Editor. Editor. This is just a test to see how this thing will go.
I'm just doing a down arrow.
Editor. Editor. I will now conclude the testing of the Simplenote. Blank. Miscellaneous.
And that's a
Add
tag.
tag. Edit. No editor main region end.
That's it. And now you know how to go about using that Simplenote, which is a very good replacement for Keep Notes. Thanks for listening.
I thought this was pretty nice, pretty clean interface, especially for the notes, wasn't it?
I like it, and frankly, it's something that I think is kind of maybe undersung. You know, a hero that is not giving its right place. Because for me, though, when I use a note-taking app, that ability to sync across different devices or platforms is key. And I think this is why we always go back to Google Keep, because if I'm doing something on my computer, for example, it's right there on my phone. If I, going out or whatever, and I have my phone and left that computer at home, I'll access that directly right there on my phone without the need of my computer. And so this is something that I like about the app, and it's instantaneous. It's not like, hey, you got to hit the save or whatever. No. It's like what you are talking about the other time, Ed, when you are typing on your Telegram and maybe the battery died and you jump on your computer and you saw that message you were trying to compose. It was right there at the very last moment when that battery died off. And so that's what I like about it. It's right there in your account as long as you sign into it. I think probably the reason why it has that low rating of 3.6 is because if you want those other additional features, like maybe being able to collaborate with someone else on your work, or you want to put it on your blog, or put it onto your WordPress and all of that, those portions are behind a paywall. And you know how people are. If you're giving me all of these other parts free, then why not this? And probably maybe that's what led to its 3.6. But I like what it does.
I have a question regarding the account or the signing in thing. So if I want to use it only locally on the device, can I skip this sign-in thing, or is it mandatory?
I didn't see a way to, just do something local, because, like I said, look at this as a Google Keep Notes. It's not like your regular traditional note-taking app where you just could just take a note on. The whole idea is to be able to use it across devices, and so that's where it focuses on. And so you can't just have something locally without it getting tied to your account. So I don't know. He could maybe implement that, and then if you want to kind of sync it to your account, you could do that. I don't know, but I don't see that.
If that's the case, that might be another reason for all the low reviews. I can't imagine. I would imagine there's a lot of people that just want to use the app without having to give them their email address. So that might upset a lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing with Google Keep. You're using Google Keep. You're having your email address in there.
I'm just doing what you were doing and speculating as to why the reviews were so bad. I'm not saying I'm against it or anything.
Actually, with Google Keep, you already have the account and you're already using a Google service, so you know that. And Google already has your email, it's actually a Google account. So things are different with this app. So people aren't required to trust this app if they want just to use the notes locally. I mean, okay, the developer has the right to do whatever he wants. It's his app. But I think for me, this is a minus if I'm unable to just use it locally.
The problem is that because some of the comments that I was reading, some people were complaining about having to pay for the blogging part, or collaborating with others, on that whatever that they've uploaded. So it's just, you never can tell with people. There's always a problem somewhere.
Never judge an app by its rating, especially as a blind user, because it could be rated horribly but be perfectly accessible, and the opposite could be true. It could be rated great by average users but be completely inaccessible. So don't judge a book by its cover, as they say.
Also, don't judge things by the reviews, because actually TalkBack, if you look at, I don't know what's the rating of TalkBack currently, but if you look at the comments of the reviews, like people don't know I turned that thing on and now my phone is useless or something. Okay, so you're using an accessibility service.
I've seen like reviews on the Samsung version of TalkBack that say, "Why can't I uninstall this from my phone?" And they've given 1 star because they can't uninstall it from their phone.
Well, John, you are being nice because some of them use strong language, of course.
Yeah, Play Store reviews are always so hilarious looking at them. Sometimes I'm just for giggles, I go and look at the comments.
I gave TalkBack a 1-star review once. It was when they took away the multi-finger gestures that I had.
Yeah, I know. And you've kind of been pissed off. You've never been,
Yeah, that is so wrong. TalkBack deserves at least 2 stars, in my opinion.
You kind of got pissed off when they messed up that thing on your OnePlus, and you've never
forgiven them.
Forgiven TalkBack.
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Karine, what rating would you give Cheek Pulling?
0 stars.
You got to give it 1.
No,
Karen,
it would be minus 10. Minus 10 if there was an ability to give it a negative 10. You would give it a negative 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but seriously, regarding TalkBack, I think I gave it 3 stars back then when they added the new sounds. Do you remember those sounds? Like they were like the game sounds, the video game sounds. They were so much.
I call them the pinball sounds. Those things were terrible.
Yeah, I was so much annoyed back then. I think I gave them 3 stars. I was so a good person. I didn't give them like less, but I gave Samsung's TalkBack 1 star. And I think I haven't changed my rating, and I'm not going to do that because of the things that they are doing with TalkBack. I mean, the implementation and the way they are using, or they are dealing with this, all of this, just they deserve a 1 star.
Up next is the tip of the week. This is a feature where we show you a trick or two on how to use some certain feature on your phone or some other feature in a given app. And now for this week's episode, here's your tip of the week.
And we conclude this week's episode with our tip of the week. And Warren shows us a new feature in Android 15, and this allows you to archive apps on your phone instead of using the existing and still there, obviously, uninstall option.
Hi, Warren here for Blind Android Users Podcast, and for episode 202, Tip of the Week. This is demonstrating one of the new features found in Android 15, and today I'm talking about the archiving of apps that you are not using. In other words, if there's an app that you're not using and would rather archive than uninstall, this is what this tip is. By default, you could set this to do so automatically either from the Play Store itself or from the Apps section, but this one is to show you the manual process of how to archive an app. I am on my home screen now, and I'll move to one of my apps here and see how we can manually archive that given app.
Guide along.
I have something here called Guide Along, and here's how we go about archiving it manually. So I will double tap and hold. In other words, we need to long press on that app Or if you want, you could swipe down to where it says shortcuts. So for example, if I swipe down, that's using actions.
Shortcuts.
You could tap that and tap on app info. Or you could long press on it and tap on app info. So let's go ahead and tap since we're on shortcuts.
Shortcuts. App info.
Here we are on app info. So whether you went through the actions route or you simply long press on it, you'll be tapping on shortcuts and that pops up the app info. Now we tap on app info.
Home. App info. Navigate up button.
Upon tapping on app info, now we're on the app info of the app. And the first thing we want to do is, since we're trying to archive it, near the top, just on the left side, below where it says navigate to top, if you move down a little bit, you're going to find archive.
Archive button.
And to the right of that
Uninstall button.
is uninstall. But since we're interested in archiving it, I'm going to move back to archive.
Archive button. Archive guide along.
It says archived guide along. Now, if I go back to my home screen,
Recent apps. Home. Guide along is archived. Tap to download and restore.
there we are. We're being told that guide along has been archived. And if we want to use it again, all that needs to happen is to tap on it to re-download and restore the app. So we got both ways. You could tap on it to activate that process of restoring. Or if you prefer using actions, then you swipe down till you get to where it says activate and tap on it to activate. So, for example, if I swipe down,
Move item.
swipe down,
Add to home screen.
swipe down again,
Activate.
and if I tap here,
Pending 3 period. Pending.
and we heard it say pending.
Downloading.
In other
Installing.
words, it's
80%.
downloading and installing 80%.
Guide
and
along.
so it's been installed, and now it no longer says archived.
Guide along.
We hear guide along, and we don't hear it saying it has been archived. And that's a quick way on how to manually archive an app in Android 15. Thanks for listening.
So the one question I think I've got listening to that, I noticed that when you restored the app, it did go and download it and installed it. So when do you think you might use archive instead of uninstall, given that it does actually uninstall the app anyway?
Well, so technically, it kind of kept like maybe very little resource for the app so that it can, go back and get it. I think the one I'm kind of thinking about and wondering about, for example, let's say I sideloaded an app, for example, and I decide to archive it. Would it, when I go back to restore, would it get that back for me? And I'm thinking something tells me it might, because it may go back to that source from which I sideloaded it from. But then I'm kind of thinking, so what happened if I had deleted that APK? But I'm thinking it probably would upload it to the Play Store. I don't know. Does someone, you want to try that, John?
Have you tried it with the sideloaded app? I would imagine it would.
I don't have a sideloaded app. That's what I was wondering what it would do. I'm kind of curious as to what would happen.
I would imagine it doesn't work. It doesn't even give you the option. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because I'm trying to understand the point of archiving. What it does is it keeps the app data on your phone, but uninstalls the app to give you a little bit more space, right? So, like, if you were to restore it, you wouldn't have to like sign in to the app and fix all your settings the way you want and all that. Is that correct? Is that why you would archive something?
Yeah, so the whole thing is about, space, the whole focus, so you're someone that takes a lot of videos and all of that. And then, we got apps are only getting bigger and bigger. So if there's an app that you're not using, for example, of course, and it's an app that you use only once in a while, but you don't want it, totally uninstall the app so that when you want to, you have to go back to the Play Store to get it. You just archive it, which is basically uninstalls it and just leaves a little icon or whatever that it lets you know it's there. So whenever you want to use it, as a time comes for you needing to use it, you go back to it. So that's the whole idea. That's the focus, is to free that space that you don't want to be hog-tied for the time being.
And how beneficial it is kind of depends on how the app works. Because, for example, something like Pocket Casts, where you've downloaded episodes and you've saved it into the app data. I would imagine if you archive that, you're not going to save yourself a whole lot of space, because it's only removing the actual app itself, which doesn't take up much space compared to all the podcasts you've downloaded to your phone. So it really depends how beneficial it's going to be, how the actual app works and where it saves its data.
And I imagine there'll be some apps that won't allow themselves to be re-authenticated like that. Like if you archive a banking app, I bet that won't let you back in.
Well, I'll try it with my banking app and see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't see a reason why it wouldn't let you back in.
I bet it won't. Like they'll never restore settings, will they, from phone transfers and backups?
My guess is, I would bet that it would let you back in. I'm interested to see what it does.
I'm positive it'll let you back in. You know what? I'm gonna try mine, and I'll post it on our Telegram.
I think you should. I bet it doesn't do it. I bet it doesn't do it.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I have to try it.
How much would you wager, Ed?
If it doesn't if I'm wrong, I won't physically pull your cheeks next Saturday.
Okay.
That's the offer. I won't pull your cheeks next Saturday.
No. Why would you pull his cheeks?
I pull everyone's cheeks.
No. If you are wrong, then
I'm saying I won't. I'm saying I won't pull his cheeks.
Oh, you won't? Oh,
no. So next
basically,
Saturday,
he's saying he bets nothing. Basically.
Yeah, exactly, Mundo. See, so he's not really confident.
We call it a sportsman's bet. You can have a wager without a stake.
No. So that's
the
cowardice.
stake is being right or being wrong. Sometimes that's enough.
Exactly.
and John gets to sleep in comfort knowing he won't have his cheeks pulled next Saturday. If I'm right, there is this possibility I might just turn up at his house.
Oh boy.
And he can worry about that.
I want to try, John, maybe you could sideload an app. How about we have a homework? You sideload an app, and I'm going to do my banking app.
All right.
I have a question. Well, I haven't read about the app archiving as I should. I just was so lazy to go to Gemini and ask, how smart is Gemini? And it said that it doesn't require internet connection, neither for saving the archive nor for doing any sort of restoration. So he said that it works on the device. It just compresses the app, so it takes less space. And when you want to restore it, you just restore it without the need of anything related to the online stuff. So is that correct?
So that's your homework. Turn on airplane mode. Oh, you don't have a Pixel though.
I don't have it. I'm a Samsung user.
So TalkBack is misleading if it is, because it said downloading and installing. TalkBack might be wrong. I don't know.
Although, let's be honest, it's more likely that Gemini is wrong.
Well, I'm giving Gemini the benefit of the doubt.
I think I'm with John here. It may be Gemini is giving you a wrong response. Of course, Gemini is still learning, right? Ever learning. So
yeah, but it then told me that it doesn't give medical advice.
And that the sky is red.
Oh my God, yeah. It's always the sky is always red. It could be whatever color you might expect when you're using Gemini, because it confuses things in a way that nobody on earth could think about them in this way.
He was telling me something about I don't give medical whatever, and I said this has nothing to do with medicine, and he said you're right.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
You know what though? I had to. This is kind of unrelated, but I was talking to ChatGPT today, and it also does weird things. Like it asked me how my day was and what was I doing this weekend, and I said nothing much, just recording a podcast. And then it said, "Oh, what's your podcast about?" And then it said something like, "Do you and your son do anything else together?" And I said, "Why are you? How do you know I have a son?" And it said, "You just said you were recording a podcast with your son." And I went back and looked at the conversation, like had it read what it said that I said. And I said nothing about a son. I just said, I'm recording a podcast today. And that's all it had in the conversation. So I'm like, man, where do you come up with this stuff?
It is lying to you. It
gaslighted you,
frankly, it is lying to you. These things, this is why sometimes, AI, I don't even want to go down this rabbit hole, but frankly, they're all lying to us that we don't collect these things. I don't believe any of them. He knows you have a kid.
Yeah,
trying to lie to you
that's not lying. That's straight out gaslighting. You said you were recording a podcast with your son. No, I literally didn't.
It actually had me second guessing myself. Like,
yeah.
What
if you want more of that, there is now a GPT app for Windows if anyone wants it. I've heard rumors that you need to be on the paid tier. It's accessible, but I haven't tried it. And there's a global command for it of Alt space. It's on the store if you do want that app, but you may or may not need to be a paid member of ChatGPT.
You should be a paid member for now. This is something that I'm sure about because I was reading about it like maybe yesterday.
Well, excellent. You do need to be a paid member then. Good.
So I have my phone. Should I put it in an airplane mode and then, archive an app and then trying to restore it and see what happens?
Yep.
Yeah. That way we don't have to do homework.
Airplane mode. Switch.
I got airplane mode on now, guys. Can you hear my phone?
We can, yeah.
5.
Okay. So let's see.
Skip pages. Notepad.
Yeah, let's try it with Notepad, right?
Shortcuts. App info. Home. App info. Archive button. Archived hashtag Notepad settings.
Okay, so I'm going to go back.
Recent apps. Audio MP3 editor. Notepad is archived. Tap to download and restore. Notepad. Notepad is archived. Tap to download and restore. Home on top, you're offline on bottom. To restore this app, check your internet connection and try again. You're offline.
See, so my first thought was correct. You have to have access because it has to install it from the Play Store. So Gemini told you a lie.
Expected, actually.
All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us.
And that brings us to the end of this week's Blind Android Users podcast. Thank you very much for listening. John, how can people get in touch with us?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Well, See you next week, and say bye-bye to the nice people, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for today, and looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.